Hello everybody, a very warm welcome back to MEC-TEC. Now we're back on the Alfa, carrying on exactly where we left off from the last video. Obviously you can see I've got it back out on the driveway now after doing that subframe repair, and we need to get it back up in the air and get all the wheels off, and I need to take them down to my local garage. He's going to pop the front of the beads off the tyres for me so we can properly refurbish the front of the wheels and make them look absolutely mega, well, as best as I possibly can with a rattle can anyway. We do our best to obviously make them look really nice and tidy. We're actually going to do them the same colour as these bezels that I did, this bronzy colour, and we're also going to take off the mirror covers and do those as well at the same time. So without further ado, let's crack on, get this thing back up in the air, get it on some axle stands, get the wheels off, we can go and sort the tyres out, and then we can start the process of about 1,000,000 years of sanding. Let's crack on. Right, sit rep, I've let the air out the two front tyres, comes through the rear ones, and it's got these Alfa Romeo metal dust caps on, which do not want to come undone for anything, so I'm going to have to get a little Dremel out and actually cut them up one side to try and get them off so I can let the air out the tyres, same as that one there. They're not very good anyway, all the badges are all gone manky in them, and this badge is even missing on this one, I think, yeah, so I don't know how they're not coming undone, because the tyres on these aren't that old. I'm just trying to see a date on them. Don't know now. I thought I saw a date on. You know when you look for it and you can't see it again? No, don't know. Anyway, they won't come off, whatever. So how long have they've obviously corroded on there because they're alley. So I'm going to get a Dremel on the go and try and cut up one side of them to get these off. Rightio, there we go, there's our first wheel rub down. That is what we're aiming for. I've used these, they're like, well, they're like a mesh, if you can actually see through them. 500 grit, they're not Abranet, but they're a cheaper version off of Amazon. I've been using those, hand sanding all the actual main part of the wheel, and then I've obviously got the air compressor out here now with my little mini sander to do around the edges where the actual powder coat is already chipped off. Now, got to be a little bit careful sanding this because, as I say, it is powder coat, and if you go too mad with it, it does sort of go a bit like melty, if that makes sense. So I'm quite lucky actually. This powder coat is very resilient, and a lot of it, if I show you on these spokes, the marks I thought were marks actually in the metal are only in the powder coat, which is quite good. So although it's not ideal painting over this, let me zoom you out. Although it's not ideal painting over this, it is a very good coating by the seams of it. There's no corrosion on these wheels at all, which I'm really chuffed about. So you can see the state of the edge of that one. Look, I think a lot of that, although it is a bit of metal, the damage, will smooth out the same as this. You're going to see little imperfections, but I'm not too worried about that. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go around the other edges of the wheels with the compressor, with this little mini sander during the day now, while I'm doing it again during the day, because I can do that and make some noise. And then when it comes to the evening, I've got to be a bit quieter. I can then go over all the other spokes and everything with the finer paper, and obviously hand sand all those just to rough them up so they've got a decent key to them. What I'm going to do on the back is take all the weights off, clean them all up, and I'm going to mask off this line. So the paint will go just up to this line, maybe just over it to the back edge so you can't see a line. And then I'm going to leave the back portion of the wheel grey. As I say, literally no corrosion on these wheels at all. This coating, whatever it is they put on it from new, although it doesn't look great colour-wise, in my opinion, it's a very nice coating. So I'm going to leave it all as is. There's nothing wrong with it. And we just have the back portion of the wheel will be dark grey, which is probably going to get covered in dirt again anyway. And the front part will obviously be the colour we want it. So that is the plan. Right, I'm going to carry on sanding around the edge of these wheels with a little mini DA. And as soon as we've got some more progress and we'll move on to the next stage, I will come back to you. we go. You would have just seen me getting all these wheels all sanded down. Now, one thing I must stress, wear a mask. I completely forgot about my mask on the first couple of wheels and then wondered why I was smelling all the smells of sanding and whatever else. So make sure you wear a mask when you're doing this. You would have seen me put it on about halfway through. I've now found my proper mask because I couldn't find my little one, this one before. And I only had my big full face mask, which I was wearing, which obviously isn't ideal when you really need to see what you're doing, because it's more for sort of... that one's more for sort of grinding and stuff like that if you're under a car, cleaning off rust and stuff. But anyway, I had that on, so make sure if you are sanding anything like this, you wear a mask. Now, I've got all the wheels cleaned on the back sides now, as you can see. And what I've been doing is I've been going around the insides of them with a toffee wheel and a drill, which is like a rubber wheel that goes into your drill. I'm just trying to see where it is. There it is. One of those. It's a rubber wheel, and it gets off all the old residue of sticky stuff off the weights. Now, you've got to be careful. I mean, this wheel was already slightly damaged from where people had scraped off weights in the past, but you do have to be a little bit careful with it, because otherwise it will end up taking off the layer of paint. I don't know if that's because I've got a cheap toffee wheel or whether it's just because you have to be careful with them. But there's a few more. I thought there was a few more on this wheel that I had to get rid of, so I was going to show you it in action, but it looks like I've actually done them all. In which case, we're going to get on to masking. I'm going to get all these masked up. I'm going to try and mask it around this back edge on this lip here, so I don't get any paint on this part of the wheel. I want to keep this part original grey. Just any overspray obviously that goes onto these front sections doesn't matter too much. Now, I have actually run a bit of sandpaper around the inside, so just show you on this wheel over here. I've run a little bit of sandpaper, this fine 500 grit, around the inner edge of this, just so that it's got a little bit of a key, so any overspray that does obviously go through the spoke holes will stick, and obviously on these bits on the edge of the inner bits of the holes, it will stick on there too. So they are all prepped, ready to go. I've got this final one to do. It just means rubbing down on this edge, as I say, just going over that edge there. It's not a lot, just giving them a little key. Unfortunately, I haven't got any decent wheel cleaner at the moment, so I couldn't go over these with some nice wheel cleaner to get all this brown menk off, which is a shame. I may try and go over that again with some things to try and get that off with a bit of brake cleaner or something like that. But if you can, obviously get some decent wheel cleaner and go over it with some wheel cleaner if you can. Right, I'm waffling. Let's get these masked up, and we'll get some primer on the go on them front edges and get them bits I've rubbed down, obviously where I've flatted them all. That one I think was the worst out of all of them. Can't remember, was that one or this one now? I think it was that one. But we'll get some primer on the edges, obviously, to cover up any bare metal parts that are showing, and then we can hopefully get that just flatted back and get some colour on the go. Let's crack on. Right, there we go, all four wheels are now completely masked. As you can see, it's taken an absolute age to do that. I was hoping to show you the bin bag trick of masking up the tyres, but the wheel's too big to fit in the bin bags that I've got, so I had to mask them with tape instead. Now I haven't got my microphone on because I'm going to be wearing a mask in a second. We're going to be going over it with this high build etch filler primer. So that's obviously going to go on there. Maybe do 1 or 2 coats of that depending on how it covers. And I've got some black primer as well, which I may go over with after, because the undercoat on these underneath the grey is actually black. So I'm thinking maybe if I go over it with black, it will then make the colour look right when I go over it with the base coat of the colour we're doing all over. That's the thinking. So let's get some primer on here. I've been shaking that up off camera, so it's already shaken up. We'll go around all the sort of bare spots and get them all covered, and hopefully it'll be absolutely marvellous. Right, we'll let that go off and probably give it another coat of that just to make sure it's filled in any little imperfections. These aren't going to be absolutely perfect. I'm getting them the absolute best I can with obviously what I can do. There is a couple of little imperfections which I didn't want to go too mad on because I didn't want to make the alloy look round, if that makes sense. So there are a couple of little divots here and there, but nothing really. So I'll let it go off, do another coat, and then obviously we'll go from there. Don't know whether to go over it with the black primer or not, to be honest with you. I might leave it. I may even go over the whole wheel with the grey, because the grey, although it's lighter, it's not mega lighter than the original grey, if that makes sense. So yeah, we'll decide on that as we go along anyway. Right, I'm going to let that dry for 10-15 minutes and we'll go over it again. Right, whilst we're waiting for the primer to dry, we've got to get these door mirror covers off. Now, being an Alfa, it's never as easy as a normal car, and you have to take the whole mirror apart, which involves taking the glass out and then taking off half the inside of the mirror. So let's see if we can pop this off. I think it's only clipped on around there. Yep, that comes off really easily. Get rid of the spiders out of there. Where did that go? There's a giant spider in there. Right, that come off a lot easier than I thought it was going to, which is kind of handy. I'm guessing that's not a genuine glass because it doesn't look like it is to me. That looks like a cheap and nasty to me. Right, inside here are 4 clips. One there, one there, one there, one there, one there. That one's already broken off. What a surprise. That one there. And then there's something laying in the bottom of the mirror here, which looks like, oh no, maybe not. A dead ladybird, unfortunately. The other one basically is right behind there, which is going to be a pain to get to. Of course it is. Why did I expect anything less? I wonder if I can get this off without taking the rest of it apart, or whether it's going to fight me all the way. I think I've got to take out, there's a couple of little, 3 little Phillips screws in here, one there, one behind here, and one there, which then allows that all to fall out, and then you should be able to get to the clips on the back side. So I've not done this before, so I'm learning as we go here, peeps. Just trying to find a screwdriver, 2 seconds. Easier said than done in my garage, as I'm sure you can appreciate. Now the other side mirror glass on this car already has got a crack in it, so I'm hoping it's not going to get any worse if I try and take it out. I'm assuming I'm taking out the right screws here, I'm not really sure, but we'll find out in a minute. I don't even know if I have actually got to take these out or not, but I'm just assuming I have. Has that given us anything at all? Not really. This top screw is loose, but doesn't want to come out the hole. Are there any more? That's the question. Doesn't appear to be any more. What advantage is that giving us doing that though? I wonder what these 3 little screws do in the middle. Let's see, shall we? These are different lengths, so bear that in mind if you're taking this apart. I'm hoping that's going to release that middle section. Ah, yeah. So those 3 screws release the middle section, the 3 I just took out. We've got that bit there. With a hole in the, there's a hole in the back there, which I think allows you to get to that bottom clip to pop it out, hopefully. I'm going to do with all these screws, I don't want to lose them. Put them in pocket for now. Actually, no, I won't. I'll lose them if I put them in pocket. I'll hold them for a second because I want to put them in the car. Right, as I say, one clip's already broken on this, so I'm guessing this has possibly been glued on, in which case I'm going to need a new mirror cover. Which wouldn't surprise me with this car in the slightest. That one's just broken. If that being the case, it may be that these mirror covers are going to stay as they are for now. Because I don't want to be doing any more than I have to do to this car at the moment. I think that's been glued on. Well, I think it's pretty obvious it's been glued on. Let's get one of these in there and see what happens. If it pops off easy, then we'll do it. If it doesn't, then we won't. It has. And these mirror covers underneath are red, as I thought. So, no point in putting it back for now. Unfortunately, I did break another one of the clips off, so I'm going to have to try and fix that if I can. Maybe put a hot staple in the bottom of it to glue it back together again. It's come off completely. Look. But you can see the how well the wrap's been not done. Yeah. Why has it got red mirror covers on it? That's the question. Yep, manky red mirror covers underneath there, with all the lacquer peeling off of them. going to need to get a bit of heat on this to get this off easier, otherwise it's all going to pull off in bits. Okay, I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. Hopefully we'll get that one off too, and then we can get these painted. And hopefully I can repair the clip on this, so we've at least got 3 clips out of 4 on it. And it should be alright to go back on, hopefully, with any luck. Right, I'll do the same on the other side, I'll come back to you. Right, it is about a week and a half after you've seen that last clip, and I have been pretty ill, as you may be able to tell from my voice. Whatever this super flu thing is that's going around got me, and yeah, it's not been good. But anyway, I'm hopefully back on the case now. That's why there wasn't a video last week. This video was supposed to go out last Friday, but that never happened. So since the last clip, I've got both mirror covers now off and in primer, and rubbed out, flat back down, so they're all ready to go. So now I'm going to do the same with the wheels. I'm going to get one of these ultra fine, which one is it? That one. No, I don't know where it's gone. Where have I put it? They're the fine version. Basically, it's one of those, but an ultra fine one of those. It's like a sort of foamy pad type thing, which is obviously really soft. Just going to go over the wheels, quickly give them a quick flat over, make sure they're all nice and smooth, and then we can get some colour on the go and finally get these things back on the car. So let's get these rubbed down, and we'll go from there. Right, there we go. We are prepped, swept and cleaned. I couldn't think of anything else to run with swept and kept. Oh, I can't remember what I just said now. I couldn't, I'm not even going to go there, my brain isn't working. Swept, prepped and cleaned. I couldn't think of anything else to go with swept and prepped, but anyway, there we go. So we've got our 4 wheels obviously on the sheet, all wiped down with brake cleaner, sanded, wiped down with brake cleaner. Got the 2 mirror covers over there on some aerosol cans with some paper over them. Did have a bit of a mishap with one of those where it fell off the bit of wood I had it balancing on when I first did it. So hopefully we won't have that again. Now we've got about 5 cans of this bronze paint, so we should have enough. I didn't want to run out, so it's just going to be a case now of building up the layers. Probably 2 to 3 coats, I would think, of bronze metallic, and obviously once that's gone off, then we'll do the lacquer. But let's get this bronze on the go. First of all, I'm going to start off with the mirror covers, just see how this comes out. Not going to go too heavy on the first coat, just enough to give it a nice base, and we'll gradually build it up. So basically I'm going to do the same now with all the wheels, give them a few coats of base, and see what they look like, I guess. we go, there is our first coat of colour on there. Now I'm not going to stay in here without a mask on, I'm just holding my mask out so I can talk to you quickly. I'm going to let this coat go off. We'll get a couple more coats on to make sure we get even coverage all over, because obviously it is quite intricate getting into between all the spokes and whatever. And then we should be hopefully somewhere near it and getting onto a lacquer coat. I'm getting excited now, these are looking really good, I'm well chuffed. Right, I'll let this go off and I'll come back to you in a bit. Rightio, our wheels and mirror covers are now complete. They've had three, well the mirror caps I think have had 4 coats, the wheels have had 3 coats, and I've actually gone around the edges of them off camera just to make sure that the edge underneath where the tyre goes is all covered in the right colour. So we're on to the lacquer stage now, the make or break of the job, as I always think. I'm going to be using this, which is the old Pro XL 2K Clear. It's a lacquer in a can with an activator in it that you have to activate. You've got a little cap on the bottom there which you pull off, and it's got a ring pull on it which you hook around this little valve on the bottom here, pull it and twist it. That then releases the hardener into the lacquer as if you was in a body shop and you was mixing it in a gun, and then obviously you shake it all up, and it's got a shelf life. It probably lasts a few days in a can on the shelf, this stuff. So really you want to be doing it and using it for whatever job you're doing. You want to be using it all and do as much of lacquering as you can that you need to at one time, if that makes sense, you know. So that's going to be the next stage now. I'm going to get this ring pull pulled, give it a good old shake up. I've already had a heat gun on it to heat it up a little bit, just so it flows a little bit nicer. So it was quite cold out here. And yeah, we'll do like a dust coat on the wheels and the mirror covers first, just to give it a little bit of coverage to make sure that everything sticks, and then we'll go a bit heavier on the second coat and possibly third coat as well. So let's crack on, get these lacquered, and hopefully nothing goes wrong and they come out absolutely marvellous. So there we have it, folks. It is the next day. The wheels are now dry and I am pretty chuffed with those, I've got to say. For the amount of detail on the wheels and spokes and whatever else, and doing them with rattle cans, I am pretty chuffed how they've come out. I really am. Mirror covers have come out pretty good too. They might need a little bit of a polish once they're back on the car, but that's no problem. And these badges are really cool. I taped them to some lids so they wouldn't fall off. They've come out really nice now too. So they're custom wing badges, one off, one of a kind, to match the obviously the trims and whatever else. And the gold on those clover leaves, I think I'm going to replicate that colour on the wheel nuts as well. There's a nice little detail, so I'll have that goldy colour wheel nuts on it too, which we need to do next. They're all sitting over there on the floor looking really rather manky at the moment, so I can't put those on with nice fresh wheels. So next thing now is going to be obviously unmasking all this. I need to get these back down to the tyre shop and get them rebalanced. Now I've done them all, so I want to get them all unmasked, pump the tyres back up on them, pop the beads back on, and then we can take them down, get them balanced, and obviously then get them put back on the car. We've got to put the front arch liners back in the car as well before we put these on too. Maybe have a little bit of a clean up on the underneath the wheel arches while we've got the wheels off, and then we should be somewhere near it. So let's get all this unmasked, and we'll have a look at them once the tyres are back on the beads. Rightio, now we've done the wheel nuts. Basically everything's ready to go back on the car. I've had the wheels balanced this morning, so that is all done. I just wanted to take off the brake pads and put some copper grease on the back of the pads. Now that is because the last time I drove this car very short distance, the brakes absolutely scored like crazy. And this has had new discs and pads on it, but by looks of it they've not put any copper grease on. So I'm going to add that on and hopefully that will cure the problem. Now to get the pads out, you've got two pins, one there, and literally all you have to do is knock them out. Very easy to do on this. Like a little spring loaded end on one end, and I'll show you in a second. It's got like a spring loaded collar on it. Get a straight shot on it. There we go. There's like a spring loaded clip in the middle here as well you have to take out. So you put a little bit of pressure on that when you take the pin out. And you can see the pin there, it's got like a sort of sprung loaded collar on it with a little split in it. Hopefully you can see that split just there. Let's get the camera. And that obviously bangs into the back of the caliper, and with the spring tension of this clip that's underneath them, that obviously holds them in. So there's not a lot holding them in really. Just that, and then obviously if you get your the punch you've been using and just tap on these pads. Because they're quite new, they've not got a lip on the disc or anything. You should just be able to tap them out. And I've already done the other side. This is how I know how this goes, because I didn't have a clue how it went when I first looked at it, but it's pretty self-explanatory when you look at it. Because obviously I've not pushed the calipers back, they're a little bit tight, which is why I'm having to tap them out, but not too bad. There we go. See, they're brand new. Literally, they've got a pad on the back of them, but they still squeal like crazy, which is why I always say when I do brakes, I always put copper grease on the back of them. There is a difference of opinion that some people like doing it, some people don't, but this is proof that when you don't, I've always found you get brake squeal, which sounds rubbish. You sound like a bus pulling up. So a little smear of this on the back certainly won't do any harm. A little bit on the very edge of the pad as well, not on the pad but on the metal part of the pad, just to aid it sliding in the caliper. Not got loads on there, it's only a thin smear, but it does make a difference. Just like that, and it can go back in again. It's as simple as that. So I'm going to get that front one done exactly the same, front half I should say. It's a little bit trickier getting this one out because obviously you have to tap it the other way, but it still comes out pretty easy. As I say, if you've got a lip on the discs, if they're old discs, then obviously you probably will have to squeeze the caliper open a little bit to allow the pads to go past the disc, but because these are literally brand new, they were fitted just before I got the car and I've done no miles, and they're Brembo pads as well, which is nice. Didn't know what make they were when I first got the car, so it's nice to know they're a reasonable make. It's got a bit stuck. There it goes. To come out fairly square. It's a shame these calipers need a bit of a refurb really, because beyond my nice refurbished wheels they ain't going to look so good, but we won't worry about that for now. It'll be here forever otherwise. I've already had this car, I think it's 9 months now, and I've not even driven it yet, so we need to just get it together for now and use it and see how I like it, because I could be doing all this to it and then decide I don't want to keep it. So a little C1, you may have seen my Instagram post, I just had a new set of tyres on it, so that's good for the winter now. That is the first set I've actually ever put on it, because when I bought the wheels for it they already had the tyres on there, and they're finally well, the front ones wore out and the back ones are all cracking, so I've changed them over. So they're all good for now. Right, there we go. There's our other pad. Get a nice bit of copper grease on the back of that. It's proof on this particular car at least that the sound deadening pad doesn't appear to do much, because it definitely didn't stop this one from squealing. I'm hoping it's the fronts and not the backs, but we'll find out obviously when I use it. Next job after this is going to be getting the arch liners back in, well, you know, cleaning underneath the wheel arches and then getting the arch liners back in. I don't know whether to just brush them out or whether to try and actually clean them. I don't know whether it's worth cleaning them or not. I might just brush them out, and so there's no loose dirt in there, and then get the wheel arch liners in. Otherwise I'm going to be here forever. Push that pad in a tad too far. Get one of these pins in first, and then you can get the little spring underneath it, and then you just angle the other one in after. get it so it lines up with that hole. If I'm banging it in the right way or not. Takes a bit of jiggery pokery sometimes to get it to go in. What is it? It was in there. It just wasn't going all the way home for some reason. There we go. Right, you can hook that underneath there then. Like that. Get your top one in to hold the pressure on it. There we go, it's as simple as that. So if you ever have to change your brake pads without doing the discs, it's very, very easy. Obviously you would have to push the calipers back if you was putting new ones in if they'd worn out, but there we go. Right, that's them done. Let's go and grab a brush and a bucket of water. We'll give these arches a quick brush out, and then we'll get the arch liners in, and then we'll get the wheels on. Woo! Right, I've got one of the mirror covers put back on. This one is the one with the broken tab. You can see it's snapped off there. And obviously luckily I've got the bit still, so that's okay. So what we're going to use is my little hot staple gun, which is this thing just here. I've ever seen one of these before. It basically welds plastic back together, and you have these little wavy staples that go in, which will obviously bond the plastic back together and make it strong again, hopefully. So what you do is you put that in the end of the prong there. And this is going to be a little bit tricky. I did try and super glue this piece back on so that it was sort of in place, so I could just melt the staple into it, but it didn't last for 5 seconds. So what have I just done with that little bit of tab? There it is. So yeah, I'm going to try and somehow hold this together and then get the staple in it at the same time. It's going to be a little bit tricky, but and what I'll do after this is in here, assuming it goes in all right and holds, I'll get a soldering iron on it and melt the plastic back over the top of the staple so that it's got plastic on both sides of the staple effectively. It's just about gone through, that has. So that's obviously melted that back together, as you can see there, or melted the staple into the side of it or whatever. That is really strong as it is. It's got a little wobble to it. What I'm going to do now is cut those two tabs off with some side cutters. In fact, they come with side cutters in the kit with this gun. And we'll get the soldering iron. Make sure I don't ping it into the camera. Like that. And what I sometimes do as well is I get a belt sander and I actually belt sand those tabs off so they're dead flat. But I'll get a soldering iron on that first, melt that back together with a soldering iron so it's got a bit of plastic on both sides of the staple. And then I'm going to get some 2-pack glue and go up both sides of it, particularly on this side more than anything else. And there's like a little ridge inside there which I can fill up with glue, and that will hopefully make it nice and strong. There's not tons of pressure on it. That's actually got even stronger now. It's dried off a little bit, so with a little bit of glue on that and melting that back together, I think that'll be all right. So let's get the soldering on and go. I'll melt that back together and I'll show you the result once I've done it. Right, I've got the tab hot melted back on there. Just show you, I've actually put 3 staples in it now. You can probably just about see, and I've ground them down so they're flat. It's all fairly strong now. The first one was still a bit wobbly, which is why I put 2 straighter ones in both sides. So that is pretty strong on there now. You could probably get away with it being just like that, but I want to put some glue in the groove on this side because hopefully you can see it on camera. The first staple I put in did actually go through a bit too deep, so it's sticking out the other side slightly. So I've got some of this stuff, which is the old Gorilla Glue 2-part epoxy. It's got like a little spatula in the middle there, which you can pop out and use to obviously put that on. And it also on the packet it comes with a little mixing tray. See, it's like a 2-part thing. You squeeze it out of this tube. I'll show you. Mix it up, same as what Araldite does. So you obviously snap your little cap on there, which you put back on after to stop it going dry. I like to pull that back just slightly to get anything away from the nozzles, so it doesn't start coming out straight away. Snap that off of there. That opens your 2 nozzles up. Squeeze equal parts into the tray and do a fair bit because I don't want to run out. And then pull back on the nozzle again, and that stops it coming out, I find. And then you can put this little cap on. It's got like 2 little sort of prongs on it that push into the holes on the ends of the tube, so it stops it going hard like that. You can leave that now. Get your little spatula, give it a good old mix up. It goes slightly opaque when you first mix it up, and then once it's gone off, it usually is clear. Not that it matters in this case because you're not going to see it anyway, but it does smell a little bit, but it's not too bad. So with that mixed up like that, I'm going to get as much of that as I can on the back side of this and fill up the little groove in the back of there to make it nice and strong, because the other side where I've done the staples from, that's the side that clicks over the top of the other bit of casing, if that makes sense. So you can't put too much on that side because it'll be too thick to click over otherwise. I'm trying to get this done before I go to work so it can be drying while I'm at work. And ready to fit when we get back. Right, if I keep that fairly flat now, you can see I've built up a little sort of mound. Hopefully you can see that in there. There's a little mound built up on one side of it. Once that goes off, that should be nice and strong. I've mixed up far too much, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. I might put a little smear on the other side just so it's got a little something underneath it to sort of link it up as such, with a little bit extra. Only a thin, very thin smear though. Most of the strength's going to be on that other bit and on the staples. Right, there we go. Simple as that. We shall leave that to go off now, and as soon as it's done, as I say, hopefully when I get back from work it'll be done and we can get that on the car. The other one, as I say, I've already put back on there. I'll show you that in due course, and then we can get these arch liners in, wheels on, and then the outside of the car is pretty much done. Top banana. Right, there we go. Passenger side mirror cover is now back on. It's looking absolutely marvellous. My fix on the clip appears to have worked okay. It's all clicked back on, so that's that back on. I done that off camera because obviously you saw me take it apart. It was just a reverse of putting it back on again. Glass and everything is back in there. Going around to the passenger side, I've got the second-hand, new to me, second-hand passenger wheel arch liner in there. That's all in there. I have got, there are 2 fixings, one plastic screw there, or nut, one plastic nut there. I made a little bit of stainless steel up to go in that corner because the hole in the arch liner is bigger than the screw, so that's clamped that up nice. And I've also changed the location of these 2 screws in the bumper because where the fixings were in the bumper itself, they pulled out and snapped the plastic. So I've put 2 new metal clips on the bumper behind and just drilled 2 holes to match up with that to screw through into, so they've got metal clips behind them, clamping that all in there together nicely. So that is all back together, looking absolutely marvellous. The passenger side is a bit of a different story. I thought I had a new arch liner for this side. Turns out it was another driver's side one. So what I've got the original one. Garage is an absolute tip as usual. I've got the original one which I've cut the bottom off of there, and then I managed to get another used one which was in better condition than that one, which I've also cut the bottom off of there. This one has still got all this piece intact with the curve in it which goes into the bumper, whereas that one is completely gone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, sorry, the microphone cut out there for a second, that's why I've cut there and cut back in again. This is the other arch line that I got with the one I thought I needed, if that makes sense. He gave it to me as a spare, and luckily enough it's better than the one that was over on the car before. As you can see, this whole section over here on this one going down and was missing, whereas on this one it is actually here. I had a couple of cracks in it which I've used a hot staple gun and welded them back together there and there. I'm going to cut those tangs off in a minute and give that a little buzz back with a belt sander and go over it with a soldering iron just to melt the staples in so they're melted in both sides. And then the plan is to rivet this piece on there, something like that. Now it is going to leave me with a small hole, which I'm going to try and use another piece of that arch liner to fill in. I know it's a bit of a Heath Robinson bodge, but these arch liners new are 230 quid each, and there are no other second-hand ones that I can find online for sale at the moment. So we're going with this. So I'm going to get the rivet gun on the go, get that riveted to that, and then we'll work out what we're going to do with this hole that's left over, and see if we can cut a piece out of that one to kind of match up with this and maybe rivet it together and whatever else. So let's get that done and I'll show you what I come up with once I've done it. Right, there we go. There is the Frankenstein that I've created. It's not particularly pretty, but functional. I've still got a little bit of a hole here, but that is right on the curve where it hits the bumper, touches the bumper. So it will sit in the arch effectively like that. So I think we'll be all right. Hopefully you can see it on camera. Nope, I'm holding it too high. Right, let's get it fitted on the car and we'll see what it fits like. Right, there we go. Passenger arch liner is now in. As you can see, it is a bit of a Frankenstein, and unfortunately I did break my joint. I glued melted together there when I put it in, because I had to take it back out again to get it adjusted right, and it just split it there. So I've got a little split there which I'm going to have to sort out, but that's nothing really. Got a little hole there which is nothing. It looks pretty good compared to what it did. It's much better than having a massive hole there, and at least it will shield most of the water from going into the engine bay and make it go down. So let's do the thing that I've been waiting to do all this time and get one of these wheels on and see what it looks like on the car, because I've been waiting for this for the best part of a month now because of being ill and all the rest of it and whatever else. So let's get them on and see. Now I haven't got the centre caps in yet. That is the finishing touch. I've got a brand new set to go on because the old ones didn't cut the mustard. Right, let me grab a little bit of copper grease for the bolts. In fact, before we put the wheel on totally, let's put a little bit of copper grease around this middle of this hub. Just, it has already got some on there actually, it's not too bad. It just stops the alloy sticking to the front of the disc more than anything else. Only a very thin smear. It is absolutely freezing out today, and it is, believe it or not, Christmas Eve. I'm trying to get this done for you so you've got a video to watch over Christmas. Am I daft? Probably, but still. Right, there we go. Oh, it's so windy. So windy. Right. That looks mega. Absolutely mega. Where's my little torch? Where's the torch out? There it goes, so I can see where the wheel bolt holes are. Just about there. Got a little bit of it's a little blob of grease on these because I cleaned all these up, so they're dry at the moment because I had them in brake clean. Just to obviously aid that going in and out. Probably never even going to see, hardly going to see those wheel bolts when they're in them holes, but still, I know and you know they're gold, so that's all that matters. It's a little detail that 99% people probably wouldn't even notice, but right, last one. I'll get those twiddled in with a socket because the wheels are so deep I can't get my fingers in there to twiddle them up. I had a cloth around here somewhere to wipe my finger on, probably blown away. Look at that, oh, it's behind me. There we go. Be careful with these wheel bolts because I don't want to scratch them. I'm going to go and grab my impact gun just to buzz these up, and I'm going to get a couple of one of the wheel centers so you can see what it looks like. Right, the finishing touch. Brand spanking new. Genuine Alfa Romeo ones as well, they're a fortune. Look at that. I have got to put a dust cap on, but that looks mega. Right, let's stand back and have a little look. See what you think. Car, yes, I like that. Right, I'm going to get the other three on, and couldn't count then. Get the other three on. We'll get the car lowered down on the ground and have a proper look and see what it looks like on the ground. Right then, I've come back in from the cold to finish off the video. It's absolutely freezing out there and it's getting dark as well. So I hope those shots that I've just done of the car come out all right. I haven't seen it yet because I haven't edited it yet. It's currently Christmas Eve and I'm trying my absolute hardest to get this video out for you. Probably harder than I've ever tried to get a video out, if I'm honest, because I haven't done one for about a month and I wanted to get something out over Christmas. The Alfa looks the absolute nuts. I'm well pleased with how the mirror covers and the wheels have come out. But it isn't without fault or incident. As per usual with that car, I got in to try and move it and I've got no clutch. I despair. I really despair. It says on the dash, low brake fluid, stop immediately, and I've got zero clutch, absolutely nothing. So I assume there's a leak somewhere on the clutch system or brake system. I've still got brakes, so I'm assuming it's a clutch system. So, you know, when you think about buying a car, think twice sometimes, because this is one of them cars I'm thinking maybe I'll regret buying somehow. But there we go. It looks really good anyway, so I suppose that's one good thing. I'll give it a quick wash, as you would have seen, just to make it look a bit more decent and give it a bit tyres a bit of a shine up. I think one of them tyres has gone down on those wheels already, so I need to get that looked at as well. It's just, yeah. I've had a run of tyres lately. I've got a Puma wheel there. I've got a C-Max wheel there. Just unbelievable luck I've had with wheels and tyres and potholes and curbs and all the rest of it. It's just, anyway, I'm not going to go into that. It's Christmas. If you do like what you see on the video, make sure you do 5 things for me. Like, subscribe, share it with all your friends, hit the notification bell if you want to be told about future videos, and hype the video if it gives you that option as well. That would make massive difference to the channel, and I really do appreciate it. I've really been struggling over this year for whatever reason to get stuff done. So I do appreciate you sticking with me. Once the Alfa is finally done and on the road, which I was hoping it was going to be, but obviously it's got other ideas. I want to get back on the Lotus engine. I know I've said it a billion times in all videos, ends of videos. The Lotus engine needs to go back together the final way and get that back in the car. Then we can crack on with the bodywork on this. But it's just not enough hours in the day at the moment, and I'm not getting any younger. So my old dad said to me, he said, when you hit 40, you'll start feeling it. He's been right and all. So there we go. I hope you all have an absolutely mega Christmas, very Merry Christmas. And if I don't get a video out between now and New Year, I hope you have a fabulous New Year as well. As I say, I do appreciate you sticking with me on the lack of videos this year. It's not been the usual schedule that I had before we moved. It's just been so many other things going on with the house and the shed workshop. I'm going to call it shed workshop just because I always call it both. There's other things going on in the background as well, which you'll find out in due course about. All good things, but obviously it all takes time and is frazzling my head. So there we go. I'm waffling. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to join me soon for more automotive adventures, I will see you again next time. Cheers, guys.